I once made a comment, and that comment was that prayers does not change everything, but it rather positions us for everything. And someone asked a very important question, which I don't blame the person for asking. And that question was, why is it that prayer does not change everything? Even though we are asked to pray, that we should knock and the door will be open. We should ask and we will receive answers. Why is it so? I will tell you the simple answer. It's because we pray amiss. We don't pray according to the will of God. And I will tell you why I say that. God is a God of purpose. Everything he has ever done, including walking on top of water, was for a purpose. If you look at the life of Jesus, at a point in his life when it was about, during the wedding in Canaan, it was about changing water into wine. There was no wine. Jesus' mother believed so much that Jesus was the only answer to that kind of predicament. You remember Jesus' answer? He said to the mother, "It is not yet time." The blind man at the gate, when Jesus met with him, and after healing him, the disciples asked, is it not just the disciples, but the people who were onlookers, but the Pharisees and the Sadducees who were all there, the Gentiles as well were all there. They wanted to know whether it was the sin of the said man who has been blind from birth, or is it the sin of his fathers that he was blind? Jesus said, it is for the name of the Son of Man to be glorified. So there was a purpose. The man was blind from birth. This was before Jesus met him. There was a purpose. Also, do you remember the case of Lazarus, Jesus' friend? I believe his best friend, because that was his childhood friend. He became sick and he got a letter. This was just shortly before Jesus was crucified. He got a letter that the friend was sick. Got a message that the friend was sick. He ignored the message. A few days later, he got another message that the friend was dead. And Jesus cried. The reason for his crying was not because the friend was late. I later discovered that the reason for him crying was because the people didn't understand that it was about him. And very soon it would be his time for him to go. The flesh was weak. When Jesus went there, he asked Lazarus to come forth. Mind you, before then, prior to that time, Martha came out and said, Jesus, if you were here, my brother wouldn't have died. Mary said the same thing. To them, they believed Jesus could heal, but not raise people from the dead. And they screamed, why? Is it not too late? Jesus, knowing that it was for his name to be glorified, that was a reason. That was the first miracle Jesus did in terms of raising people from dead. He has been raising people from dead prior to that time. But that was the one he never asked anyone, do not tell. There was a purpose for it. I don't know the situation you may be going through today. It may have been influenced demonically. Yeah. Your prayer point should be, God, why? Why am I going through this? Is there a purpose for this? How am I able to align myself to that purpose? I remember the case of James. James was a limper, or he limps, he was disabled. And yet Jesus gave him the power to heal. At the point he asked, why should I be in this condition? He wondered. But thank God that Jesus gave him an answer. It is not about your physical body now. It is about where you are heading to. As a believer, as a Christian, you may have been going through several things. You may have asked. Mind you, these guys were close to Jesus. As a matter of fact, you remember John the Baptist. John the Baptist was the one who made way for Jesus. He was his forerunner, and not just his forerunner, his cousin. Jesus could have spoken a word, and John the Baptist would be released. But he chose not to, because he understood purpose and timing. Even when John the Baptist came via his disciples, he went to ask, are you the one? Because at the point, John the Baptist was wondering, is it not this same man that I know he is the Son of God? Christ himself, the Messiah. And I am his cousin, not just his cousin, not his ordinary cousin. The one sent to make way, according to the book of John chapter 1. And I've made way, even baptized him, introduced him to people. Even I had to let go my disciples, ask them to follow him, Andrew and co. And they followed him. So why am I still in bondage? I thought that he would just speak the word and shake everywhere, because he is God all by himself. He sent his disciples to find out what is happening. And instead of Jesus telling his disciples, don't worry, he will be set free, what did Jesus do? Jesus said to them, watch. He healed the sick and asked them to go back and tell John, this is the situation of things. That was the answer he gave to John. Not that you will be set free, because he understood time, that the purpose has come and the purpose has ended. That is why my calling is actually sensitive. Sometimes I go through so many things that personally they are painful to me. Very, very painful. I feel sometimes like crying, and sometimes I really cry. Of course, I'm wearing flesh. Many a times I see myself in this situation. I narrow it down to what is the purpose of God for this situation. If I narrow it down to that, and then God tells me this is not part of the plan, then I will know the battle I'm to fight. And that is the question as a believer who is a follower, poised to run this race and fulfill this race. Mind you, all Jesus' disciples and apostles that lived after him, including Paul, who did a lot of exploits, still had to face the cross. It is carrying the cross and following him. As a believer, are you ready to carry the cross? Regardless of anything, it's you and you alone that I follow. Ask yourself this question. It will help bring consolation to some of the trials you are going through. Help heal your heart. Even Jesus, when he was about to go to the cross, the point it was heavy. He said, I wish, if it is my own flesh, I will say, let this cup pass over me. But let your will be done. Are we followers of Christ? Then we must let his will be done. God bless you. I remain your brother and friend, Pastor Prosper Elechi.